back with another installment of the Curator's Corner. Phil, it's now December, but here we are still in your special Phil Noir office. We had so many great firearms and stories to share. We extended this a little bit into the month, so now December, part of December, is going to be a little extra bonus Phil Noir month. First of all, Phil Schreier, Senior Curator of the National Firearms Museum at NRA headquarters, thank you for being here, sharing all this wonderful information and stories. First, tell us a little bit about, for those who hadn't seen, what film noir is and what we're talking about here as far as the genre.
John, thanks again for having us on the show. It's always a pleasure, and for the past month or so, we've been having a blast talking about the guns of film noir. It's a French name, literal translation, black film, but it's meant to discuss and give a title or classification to a genre of films made in America between, say, 1941 and 1958 that showed a darker side to the detective melodrama. Usually a femme fatale was involved, a few sporadic instances of gunplay, which is where these come in, and a lot of great dialogue by the likes of Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, Mickey Splain, some great dialogue, great actors and actresses, Humphrey Bogart, Barbara Stanwyck, Lauren Bacall, William Powell. One of my favorite types of film, starting with Maltese Falcon and going all the way up to A Touch of Evil with our very own Charlton Heston.
And we got to introduce to some great characters, some great stories, and also we got to see some venerable and some wonderful firearms, including this one here. You look at this and you think film noir with this. Tell us a little bit about this firearm.
Well, this has very few appearances in film, and only one in the film noir genre, and that's the Dashiell Hammett's 1941 classic, directed by John Ford, The Maltese Falcon. And that movie was actually the third time that movie had been brought to film, starting back in 1931 with Satan Met a Lady, starring, of all people, Bette Davis. But almost a line-for-line remake of a previous attempt. Houston produced what is considered the first of the film noir period, yes, with Falcon.
Of a third remake. This is the one that really clicked and that it became like a classic.
It did. You know, the names on the windows back here used to be Spade and Archer. And during the course of the film, Sam's partner, Miles Archer, turns up dead. Sam goes to the site of the murder, and Tom, the policeman, pulls out a Webley-Fosbery, which is what this is. And he goes, "Yeah, sorry, Sam. Miles took a couple right in the pumper with one of these. Have you ever seen one before?" And Bogey looks at it and goes, "Yeah, Webley-Fosbery, 4.55. They don't make them anymore." He actually says 8-shot 4.55, but the 8-shot was reserved for the 38 caliber. This is the 4.55. It's a 6-shot, as you can see, and it is a really unique pistol. And it's really odd that it would show up, and of all things, like the Maltese Falcon. There's certainly more bizarre guns to pick. There are only between 3,500 and 4,500 of these made total in all the model variants between 1901 and 1946. The 4.55 was a cartridge particular to the British service, weapons. But what makes this neat is it was designed by George Vincent Fosbery, a colonel and then later general in the British Army, who won a Victoria Cross in India. And he basically designed something that some people have referred to as the answer to a question nobody ever asked. It's an automatic revolver. Now, you've heard of automatics that,
right,
you pull the trigger, it fires, extracts, reloads, ready, cocks itself, ready to shoot again. Well, that's what's the same with this revolver. You pull the hammer back. When you fire it, the bullet flies out that muzzle end, and the recoil forces the top frame back, and you can see the cylinder slide halfway back. there's a stud mounted in the bottom of the frame and in the top, and as it slides forward now on a spring, it rotates the other half of the way so that the next round is in battery. So that every time the gun recoils, it rotates.
It's cocked and ready to go.
It's cocked and ready to go.
Jeez.
It was designed to get 6 rounds off real quick, and for those flyers in the Royal Flying Corps and eventually the RAF in World War I, they were flying their Spads and Sopwiths around. That was basically a fabric wrapped over balsa wood, and to keep it airtight, they put what was called dope on the wings of it, which was a highly flammable liquid that dried and hardened, so that when these planes caught on fire, they were just a ball of flame. And so they tried to do everything they could to keep the planes from self-combusting, because there weren't parachutes available. So this gun was meant to shoot it 6 times and keep all the cartridges in the gun, so that you didn't have to worry about shooting an automatic
and a hot cartridge going.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's the story of the Fosbery. It has a few other appearances in films out there, and I'll let our trivia buffs find out what films those are, but the only one in my book that matters was, of course, the Maltese Falcon.
Well, tell us, Phil, how folks can see this and other firearms like it here at the National Firearms Museum.
This firearm and other answers to questions never asked are on display at the National Firearms Museum 7 days a week, 9:30 to 5, and 7 o'clock on Saturdays. Admission is free. Plenty of parking. We're located in Fairfax, Virginia, just 12 miles away from Washington, D.C., at the intersection of Interstate 66 and U.S. Route 50. And if you can't get by Fairfax, come visit our brand new website at nationalfirearmsmuseum.org.
And Phil, on display as well here in your Phil Noir office is the finest example of telephone technology there for the day back there in the Phil Noir period. A beautiful rotary telephone there, and I won't give everyone out the number. I see your number on there. I now know your special, detective phone number, so I'll write that down and keep that for myself.
It takes a detective today to actually know what the number is, because, with cell phones, everybody just hits a speed dial. If you look at the dial on this phone, you'll see it is really in code. And this is actually a phone that came from my grandmother's house here in Washington, D.C., and back then you had the exchange and the number, and the exchange and for her number was Emerson EM, which was 36, and then the number was followed by 30242. So Emerson 30242 was her number, 3630242, and that was long before you ever had to dial an area code. I'd like to pick it up and have a word with somebody about getting back to the way things were. But that evidently isn't going to happen.
Phil Schreier, Senior Curator at the National Firearms Museum at NRA, thank you so much for a bonus segment, if you will, of Phil Noir, Curator's Corner.
Thanks a lot, John.